Hey, it's the tax champion here, Pat Mannix from Paris Financial, and it doesn't feel like 12 months since I've donned this gorgeous orange shirt, and that's because it isn't 12 months. What are we, about the 2nd or the 3rd of April at the moment, and we are a good 6 weeks out of the usual budget night, which is the middle of May. And there's one very good reason why it hasn't been a year, folks, and that is because this is the Clayton's budget. It's the budget you have when you're not really having a budget. Yep, 6 weeks out from the election, and for the Labor to not win that election, you'd have to just about fall over, Labor Party. So anyway, here's the budget wrap, the Clayton's budget, and here it is. I'll just touch on personal income tax rates that the Libs have put out are going to reduce, and here's a nice little table here showing you what the individual tax rates were in 2017-18, and here they are as you see them, the personal tax rates, how they would be looking in 24-25. So a good reduction there in the personal tax rate in the 37,000 to 87,000 bracket, from 32.5% down to 30%. So the Libs are putting in a big one there for individual tax rates. Now, why we are all here is we are all about small business. And what are they doing with small business? They're reducing the company tax rate again. So the company tax rate at the moment for business is 27.5% for small business under $50 million turnover. They're looking at bringing that 27.5% company tax rate down to 25% by the year 21-22. So from 27.5% today for company tax on businesses $50 million turnover and less, down to 25% for the year 21-22. Now, another one the Libs are pump priming for small business. They're loving the small business vote, even though it's the Clayton's budget, and that is, of course, the immediate asset write-off. And they're taking the immediate asset write-off up from a mooted $25,000 in the 2019-20 financial year up to $30,000. And again, here's a nice little table explaining that. So at the moment, as I said, you've got a potential van here being purchased, and if it's purchased for less than $30,000 ex GST, that will be an immediate write-off for tax, and that's a really good result for small business. And also, they're increasing the turnover of businesses that can access this immediate asset write-off, and the turnover is going up from $10 million up to $50 million per year. So that's another absolute beauty. And Joshy Frydenberg, he's having a real crack at the small business vote. Not much chance, big fella, but we'll give it a go anyway. A couple of other little bits and pieces for small business here that are worth mentioning. I mentioned a few of these things last year that the government come up with. They help some people on the periphery, and they're worth mentioning. The tax office or the government are talking about making it easier and cheaper for small businesses to resolve tax disputes. So they're giving us some money to fight them. That's a good thing, maybe. Improving access to advice, another thing that may be good. Improving access to finance. They're talking about a securitisation fund. There may be some people who want to look that up and get some access to finance. This is a bit of a funny one. They're talking about making invoicing easier by setting up an e-invoicing system. That's the government setting up commercial e-invoicing system. Am I sceptical? Yes. Can't see that being very operational, but we'll see. They're talking about cutting red tape, and they're talking about improving digital capability. All those things are in the budget papers. Some of them will be useful for people, as I said, on the periphery. A couple of other things with tax are worth talking about. I've mentioned them before. They're going to continue to have a crack at multinational companies, and the Aussie government have done a great job in this over the last few years. They're going to continue to audit high wealth individuals and put money behind that, and that's pretty much the budget wrap leading into the 2019-2020 year. Folks, This is the Clayton's budget. We're 6 weeks out from an election. We're 6 weeks out from a normal budget. If the Libs don't get in, which they probably won't, you can put this little video in the trash can. But before you do, just remember, orange is beautiful. Have a good one. Bye.